Sophie's on. I followed Jimmy Trotter inside, where he washed the glue smell off his hands. Then we went out to the patch of grass where Sophie and Butter lay, and he got Sophie up and led her to the barn. I didn't know if it was a good idea to have Annetta and Fern see where milk came from since they drank it every day, but they were excited to watch Jimmy Trotter milk Sophie. He walked her to a post with a rope and tied the rope loosely around her neck. My dad rigged this harness when Augie and me, he didn't finish. He didn't have to. I could see that Jimmy Trotter didn't talk about his brother, mother, father, or grandmother, or the accident caused by the oncoming trucker who fell asleep at the wheel while driving a tractor trailer carrying lumber. Every Trotter in the car had been killed all at once. A stomach virus had kept Jimmy Trotter at home with Miss Trotter that day. Now he was the only one left to carry the Trotter name, and he carried it with him all right. Well, he and Miss Trotter. I don't know what to say. I pointed to the leather hanging from the post. And that makes it easier? He loosened the strap. Safer, he said. I don't normally use it. Sophie stands easy for me, but she's not used to an audience. That's hurting her, Fern said. I wouldn't do it if it was, Jimmy Trotter said. He placed the stool at Sophie's right side, put 2 metal pails beneath her, and sat down. The first pail was half filled with warm water and a little soap. He took a rag, dipped it into the soap water, and washed Sophie's udder. The girls started to giggle. You don't want dirty milk, do you? They only giggled more. When he was sure Sophie was clean enough, he rubbed his hands together and then grabbed 2 of the hanging parts and left the other 2 dangling. We made faces as he pulled and squeezed, pulled and squeezed. Poor Sophie, Fern said. She'd keep me right now if we weren't friends, Jimmy Trotter said. Ew, Vonetta said when the thin white stream shot out into the pail. I could have said it along with her, but didn't. This won't take too long. I only have to milk Sophie for now. Why? Fern asked. She told him it was unfair that one cow got milked and the other just sat out in the sun chewing grass. Sophie's on and Butter's off, but not for long. Fern laughed and repeated after him. Sophie's on and Butter's off. Sophie's a champion milking cow, although I think she's getting ready to taper off. Don't worry, he smiled. A warm Jimmy Trotter smile. Today's a good day. Sophie's girls said to show off for you. About 3 gallons worth. He lowered his voice and added, she only calved a few months back. And if he said something the cow shouldn't hear, I'm hoping she'll be good for another couple of months, but I don't know. Calved? Fern asked. It means she had a cow, Vonetta snapped. Jimmy Trotter turned his head away from Sophie to shoot Vonetta a look. Don't say it like that. Fern doesn't know, and neither do you. Surely don't, Fern said. Vonetta turned up her nose. So where's the baby cow? Fern asked. Calf, Vonetta corrected. Calf. He's on a special farm, Jimmy Trotter said fast and plain, like when he yes'med Miss Trotter about the cool in the air. A special farm for tender young cows. Fern thought that was swell. Summer camp for baby cows. Vonetta rolled her eyes. Somewhere in it all, Vonetta and I suspected that Jimmy Trotter hadn't told the whole truth, which Fern was better off not knowing. I milk Sophie every morning about 4:30, sometimes 5. I milk her again around 4 when I get home from school. Well, school's out for now, so I don't have to worry about rushing. Twice every day, I asked. That's what I said. Yeah, Vonetta said. Didn't you catch that? I paid Vonetta no mind. I couldn't believe my cousin had to milk a cow twice a day, every day. I bent down and touched one of Sophie's fat udders. The long-hanging balloon looked like it could burst any minute. It was so full. Vonetta and Fern went, ew. What if you miss a day? I asked. Can't miss a day. What do you mean you can't miss a day? What would happen if you did? Why do you have to know? Vonetta asked. If you can't miss a day milking that cow, you can't miss a day. I asked him, not you. Jimmy Trotter shook his head like he was beyond our squabbling. I can't miss a day. Cow's got to get milked. I got to be here milker. Just think about storing up all that milk. How much that hurt. She can't milk herself, Delphine. Oh, Fern said. Poor Sophie. Vonetta rolled her eyes and sighed. So you can't go out for track or baseball, I asked. It's football around here, cuz, he said. For me, the Sky Club. And no. Sky Club, Vonetta asked. What's that? For kids who want to fly or like airplanes? He tried to be cool, but he smiled too much to be cool. But what happens if you're not here to milk Sophie, I asked. Miss Trotter milks her. Isn't she too old, I asked. No offense. No offense to me, he said. Just don't let Miss Trotter hear you. Fern asked, what about Butter? Butter's getting her milking gears in order. She'll be dropping that calf in a month. By then, Sophie will start to really taper off and Butter will be on. Milking up a storm. We try to time it just right so no one's without milk. A lot of our neighbors still like it fresh, and we're a lot closer than the McDaniels farm. But if you want cream or butter, you go to the store or McDaniels. Butter? Oh, nuts! Fern cried. She loved butter, bread, and probably felt bad about taking one more thing from a cow. When I watched Jimmy Trotter milk Sophie 3 years ago, he didn't seem to like milking any more than I liked ironing white sheets in the heat. Now he'd talked himself into liking it and washed Sophie's udders and hanging milk bag like it was nothing. I didn't care what Big Ma said about being raised down here. One day he'd speak up for himself when he saw everyone else fly in an airplane except him. Then we'd see how fast and plain he'd yes a Miss Trotter. Bonetta and Fern had had enough of watching milk shoot out of Sophie. They wanted to talk to Miss Trotter, although neither could settle on what they'd call her, Aunt Miss Trotter or Great Miss Trotter. Holler when the milking's done and it's in a bottle, Vonetta said. Holler when you're done hurting poor Sophie. It doesn't hurt her, Vonetta said. That's what you think, Fern said. Jimmy Trotter looked up to see that my sisters were gone. We don't have to use 4 bulls, but once every other year for mating. He kept his voice low. We were hoping Sophie was carrying a female. We could sure use a young milking cow, especially with Sophie getting older. No such luck. While Jimmy Trotter milked Sophie, I told him what happened earlier with Big Ma and why she was anxious to get rid of us for the day. I don't see the big deal over iron sheets, he said. I know you don't, and I can't explain it. I just don't want to be ironing and sweating. You know what ironing and sweating is? Tell me. I knew he found me silly even before I said another word. Ironing sweating when you don't have to be ironing sweating is oppression, and I won't be oppressed. I was going for it. Right on, cuz, but Jimmy Trotter laughed. That's oppression to you? Ironing a bedsheet and perspiring? Sometimes you have to stand up for yourself. Sometimes you have to know when to stand up and when to iron. Like milking cows? I asked. I don't mind milking. I don't, he said, but we didn't speak for a while. I was about to leave him with Sophie when he said, Delphine. There was too long a pause after he said my name. You have a boyfriend? My skin must have darkened. My face certainly got warm. I did. What happened? Started feeling oppressed and broke it off? I hated it when he laughed at me, so I played it off with a shrug. We're going to junior high in September. And I might as well have broken it off. You know how it is, I said as cool as I could muster. You get your new school with all new people, and suddenly you don't want to be stuck with the same people you've known since the 3rd grade. It's like not growing up. Oh, he was smiling at me, like he'd seen through me, smiling but slightly laughing. I was sure. So do you have a girlfriend? I asked. He smiled and kept milking. He intended to make me wait. Finally, he said, I had a girlfriend. Reddish gold hair. What do you call that? Strawberry blonde? Brown eyes, freckles right here. He pointed to the bridge of my nose. And pretty, boy, she was pretty, he whistled. Then Sophie mooed. He took the pails of milk and set them to the side away from Sophie. He kept it a secret at first, she understood. He even said it was romantic and star-crossed. Yeah, star-crossed. Then one day she said, let's make a statement to everyone in Ottawa County. Let's hold hands so everyone can see. I said, you crazy? You want to get me killed? But she kept talking about the age of Aquarius and how we're not her parents and such. And I said no. I wouldn't walk up the school steps holding her hand for the world to see. You know what she said? She said, James Trotter, if you don't hold my hand, I'll scream so loud I'll wake your dead kin of mine. What did you do? I left her there. He was probably waiting for me to say something, but I was still taking it all in. I've never heard a story like that. His eyes became bright in place of a smile. Know what scorn is, cuz? I nodded a cool yes, but I was searching my brain for the word scorn. I knew it wasn't good. It sounded like scorched, like something burnt. No one wants to be made a fool of, Jimmy Trotter said, especially a girl. That's where scorn comes from. I said nothing. He laughed a little bit, although I knew he didn't think it was funny. I locked myself in my room when I got home, waited for a knock on the door, and for her family to be on the other side. Did they ever come? He shook his head. No.